Entrepreneur's Journal, I'm Tom Dias, edition 4, week commencing the 9th of March 26. Energy is contagious, so is negativity. Choose carefully which one you bring to the room. Some weeks you feel ahead, other weeks you feel like you're constantly catching up. This week felt like the second one. One thing business constantly reminds me of is that opportunities rarely come from spreadsheets, they come from conversations. Steph and I went to a property networking event in Birmingham called Ming. There were around 80 people in there, all building different things, property portfolios, businesses, partnerships, and I went with a clear intention. At the moment, I am exploring the supported living space, working with charities and organisations that lease properties for people who need supported housing. What I've learnt with networking is you rarely walk into a room and walk out with a deal. That's not really how it works. It's more subtle than that. Someone knows someone points you in the right direction, you have a conversation that doesn't feel like much at the time, and then a few months later something comes from it. It's slow but it compounds. By the time we got home it was about 5:30, and I'll be honest, the productivity side of my brain was frustrated. No tasks ticked off, no visible output. I felt like I'd lost the day. But I know deep down that's not true. Some of the most valuable work you do doesn't show up on your to-do list. The next day I took Marley to the Army Recruitment Centre in Wrexham, and something happened that stuck with me. As we walked in, the officer opened the door, looked at me and said, "Hey Tom, how are you doing?" It took me a second, then I realised who it was. 7 years ago he worked for me at Parts Pickups when he was 17. Back then he was cleaning parts and constantly talking about joining the army. That was his plan. And there he was, standing in front of me in uniform, fully grown, confident, doing exactly what he said he was going to do. I felt proud of him, properly proud. We sat through the presentation listening to what the army offers, the structure, the discipline, the opportunities to grow, and if I'm honest, part of me was sat there thinking I should have done it myself. When I was younger I wanted to join the Royal Marines, but life got in the way. Or more truthfully, I probably got in my own way. That phrase kept coming into my head, youth is wasted on the young. Watching him made me realise how powerful it is when someone knows what they want early and actually follows through on it. Hopefully Marley sees this too. Midweek we carried on filming for our YouTube channel and we changed the way we approached it. Instead of trying to memorise scripts, we just spoke. Proper conversations, people asking questions, me answering naturally. It felt a lot better, more like me. We filmed around how Nispec operates and how the dismantling process works. And I'm starting to see how important this side of business is becoming. People don't just buy products anymore, they buy into people. It might not pay off straight away, but it will. Everything compounds. The rest of the week, if I'm honest, felt like I was playing catch up. Not because nothing was getting done, but because everything was happening at once. Networking at the start of the week, filming in the middle, then trying to squeeze everything else around it, looking at stock, reviewing deals, speaking to people, exploring opportunities. It gets to a point where your brain just starts to fog. You're still working, but you're not thinking clearly. You're just moving things forward without really processing them. And I've learnt this before, but it comes back again this week. Trying to do everything usually slows you down more than focusing on the few things that actually matter. For me, the reset always comes from getting out of the environment. Movement, early mornings, runs, gym, walking the dog. Saturday morning I was out running 3.5 miles listening to the energy bus, and it's always the same. Once you get away from the noise, things start to be clear. Some of my best thinking doesn't happen at the desk, it happens when I'm moving. If you want your brain to perform, you've got to look after the body it sits in, otherwise you're trying to run at full speed on empty. Later in the week I checked the KPIs. This was one of those moments where perspective really matters. Parts Pickups had a solid week, but what stood out was Nispec first. The team had produced 359 listings, a record. Not long ago people were saying that the business was done, that it should be closed. Now it's moving again, and it's not down to one person, it's the team. Everyone pulling in the same direction. That's how businesses actually turn around. I also spent time in the garage with Phil and Alid, and it's moments like that which reminds you that real work looks like. They had a Hilux on the ramp with a rotten chassis, cutting it out, welding new steels, Sparks flying, metal bouncing off them, 3 days of solid graft. It's not glamorous, but it's necessary. And they just got on with it. Something else that came out of the week was a conversation with Dwight about marketing. We started talking about referrals, and it reminded me of something simple. Your best customers are your best marketeers. If you give people a reason to recommend you, they will. And that kind of marketing will always outperform anything paid. One moment this week stood out more than anything else. I caught myself being short with people, not intentionally, but you could hear it in my tone. Short answers, one-word replies, little patience for questions. My mind was somewhere else, thinking about what hadn't been done, what still needed doing, problems stacking up in the background. And that's when it hit me. People feel that. Your team feels it. Your family feels it. Even if you don't say anything directly, your energy says it too. That's not the energy I want to bring. Positivity isn't pretending everything is perfect. It's choosing what you bring into the room, regardless of what's going on, because that choice affects everything around you. Looking back over the week, there was a lot of progress. It just didn't always feel that in the moment. And that's something I'm getting better at. Stopping, stepping back, and actually recognizing what's been achieved. Because if you don't, you just move straight into the next thing and feel like you're always chasing. This week's book was The Energy Bus, and it reinforces something simple. The energy you bring as a leader sets the tone for everything else, whether you realize it or not. If I had to take one thing from the week, it would be this. Sometimes you're doing better than you think you are. You just need to step back far enough to see it. I'm Tom Dias. Thank you. Tom Dias, Nispec First, Parts and Pickups, Gilsfield Road, Property Investor. If this resonates with you, feel free to forward it to another entrepreneur who might enjoy it, and please subscribe to our channel.